Welcome to the Grateful Living podcast. I'm your host, Talisha Meyer. I'm a published author, writer, holistic massage practitioner, empath, intuitive, and light worker. Join us for this week's episode. Hi, beautiful souls. Today's episode is a little different. I'm sharing a replay from my recent masterclass called Understanding Emotions and the Body: How to Heal from the Inside Out. This class was created to help you understand your emotions and how they live in the body, how stress and suppression affects your nervous system, and what it really means to heal, not just mentally, but somatically and energetically too. If you've ever felt like you keep repeating the same emotional patterns, or you struggle to think your way out of pain, this one's for you. We're diving deep into emotional awareness, nervous system regulation, practical ways to reconnect with your body's wisdom. So get comfy, maybe grab a cup of tea, light a candle, and let this be your moment to slow down, breathe, and tune in. Here's the replay of Understanding Emotions and the Body: How to Heal from the Inside Out. Enjoy! One of the most important things to understand is that body remembers what the mind forgets. This is by a very famous trauma researcher called Bessel van der Kolk, and he famously said, "The body keeps the score." Think of your body like a container. Every time you suppress anger, sadness, fear, it's like adding another stone inside. At first, it doesn't really feel too heavy, but over time, that container fills up and spills over. And when it does, it often shows up not as tears or words, but as anxiety, burnout, chronic fatigue, and other physical illnesses as well. This is why healing isn't just about thinking positive. It's not about ignoring the emotions or plastering over them with affirmations. It's about learning how to safely empty that container so your body doesn't have to carry what your mind couldn't process at the time. So if the body holds on to what the mind can't process, the next question is, what exactly are emotions and why do they have so much power over us? So let's break that down. We're going to start really simple. Emotions are simply energy in motion. They're not just in your head, they're embodied experiences that often influence our mind, our body, our behavior. So we can break this down into 4 ways. Okay, they're physical. What I mean by this is that every emotion that you experience triggers a biological response. Hormones, breath, heart rate, muscle tension. When we feel fear, for example, our heart rate increases, muscles tighten, and we feel that tension in our body. Yeah, our breath becomes really shallow. This is our body preparing to respond to the perceived danger. That's the classic fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Then they're also chemical as well. So emotions are tied to our neurotransmitters and hormones. So cortisol, for example, spikes in stress, dopamine surges with joy and reward, oxytocin rises during connection, and adrenaline floods the system during fear and anger. These chemical changes help the body react, but when the emotions are unprocessed or chronic, they can dysregulate the nervous system. Emotions are also protective, and what I mean by this is they're actually signals, not problems. We've all felt angry before, right? That anger often signals that a boundary has been crossed. Yeah, sadness also signals that we need care and support. Fear alerts us to a potential danger. So those are just the ways that they are trying to protect us. And I know emotions, especially as anger, often get quite demonized, but it's there for a reason. So Dr. Gabor Mate states that emotions are messengers from our nervous system calling for attention and care. So ignoring them can actually lead to emotional storage and in the body, which later shows up as the tension, pain, and illness that we refer back to. Okay, and emotions are also learned patterns. What I mean by this is they're not just biological, they're shaped by our experience. So, for example, the trauma is often energy that didn't complete its cycle, that response that we get, the flight, fight, freeze, or fawn. If I can give a more personal example, if you live in a chaotic environment and there's a lot of raised voices, when you're in another environment, say a working environment, and people start raising their voices, you'll have a physical reaction to that because it's a learned pattern. Okay, so you could freeze, you could want to run away from that situation. That's the pattern that we've learned through childhood. So now that we understand a little bit more about emotions and how the body remembers them, the next sort of puzzle piece is the nervous system. Essentially, it's the switchboard for how your body responds to stress and emotions. It's everything we feel physically and emotionally is connected to how our nervous system is running. So I've got a bit of a cheeky question for you guys. I don't know if you want to put your mic on for this, but has anyone here ever spent like hours scrolling through TikTok, like, or Instagram, and then you feel like drained and motivated, stuck? Anyone want to answer? Well, I'll put my hands up. I definitely feel
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
actually a
Me
functional
too.
freeze response, okay? And this happens when our adrenal system, which controls our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, has been triggered, often by a perceived threat. So we'll go into how that links a little bit later. But here's the thing, throughout life, we experience many different types of stress. Okay, Dr. Joe Dispenza actually categorizes three types of stresses. So you have physical stress, which is accidents, injuries, falls. So, you feel it in your body. You have chemical stress, which is bacteria, viruses, hormones, heavy metals in the food we consume. Then you have emotional stress. So this is family tragedies, loss, career pressure, finances. Some people do like to differentiate between big stresses, little stresses, big T trauma, little t trauma. But the point is, they all knock your body out of balance. They take you out of homeostasis. Okay. When we perceive a threat, whether it's a real danger or if we're even just scrolling on social media, our body reacts in the same way. It reacts the same way as being chased as a saber-toothed tiger. It can't differentiate. Yeah. Cortisol is released, muscles tense, heart rate rises, even if there's no actual physical threat to our life. And how the body responds depends on which nervous system response gets activated. So you have fight. This is where you react with anger, assertiveness, aggression. Your body mobilizes all its energy to defend, right? Then you have flight, which is when you feel the urge to run, to escape, um, to avoid a situation, and energy goes into fleeing. So you might feel the energy more in your legs. So sometimes when you have energy work, you feel like your muscles in your leg twitching because it's feeling safe enough to release that energy. You have freeze, which sometimes when fighting or fleeing isn't really an option, your body shuts down. So you might dissociate, feel numb, get stuck. That's a protective response, even if it feels kind of frustrating. And then you have fawn. So you over adapt, you people please, you abandon all your needs to survive, and you mainly do this emotionally. This develops in response to early environments where you had to please others to feel safe. And this is actually the most common response that I find in most of the women that I work with. Yeah, I think we've all been there. We've had to please other people, especially Asian women. I feel like everybody else's needs come before our own. So many of us default to a particular response of based on past experiences or childhood patterns. So again, if we go back to the example of growing up in a chaotic household, you might default to freeze because you weren't able to kind of fight or flee. You might fawn, always putting other people first. As I mentioned, I think that's mainly what most women experience. The problem is, though, modern life triggers these old patterns through deadlines, social media, relationships, financial stress. Your body really can't tell the difference, as I mentioned, between a real threat or a perceived one. This means that our body is constantly running on cortisol. And when that happens, it actually draws energy from the gut, from the immune system, from the higher brain centers, and it mobilizes your muscles for survival. And even though there's no fight, this chronic stress can affect us in various different ways. For example, you guys might notice your concentration levels are not as great, your attention, your memory. You might have trouble digesting or eliminating toxins, and your immune system function is also affected. And when we don't have the tools to process these emotions, these stresses, they get stuck in the body. That's when stress turns into tension that you feel in your shoulders and your neck, headaches, stomach aches, or other physical symptoms as well, IBS. So, for example, if you get into an argument with someone and you don't have time to process that anger, later on your body might actually express that as a pounding headache. So that's more of a short term, but in the long term, it can have various different effects as well. Your body is literally holding what the mind couldn't process at the time. And healing then is about teaching our body that it's safe to leave survival mode, safe to process those emotions and return to balance, return to homeostasis. And this brings us to something I love sharing with clients. It's the body map of emotions. So this kind of shows where emotions get stored in the body and helping you notice patterns in yourself so you can start releasing the tension safely. So let's go a little bit deeper here. So the first step is always awareness, okay? So that's the first step to processing and releasing it safely. So anger is always stored in the jaw. So you might think, when you get really angry and you like grind your teeth or your jaw clenches, it's also stored in the fist because when we're angry, we tend to do this, and the shoulders as well. So that's where the tension builds because your body's getting ready to kind of defend, as you know, like if you look at a boxing pose, it's like that. Then you have grief and sadness. So it makes a lot of sense because if you think grief is stored in the chest and the throat and the eyes. So we've all had that lump in our throat where we want to cry, but we push ourselves not to, right? And then the eyes, because obviously that's where the tears form in there. And then you have, for example, shame and embarrassment. So the physical reaction would be your face flushing, your posture kind of inverted in because you're kind of ashamed, you're collapsing yourself and your head down, you're hiding from judgment. There's quite a few different ones on there as well. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to just have a little look at that. And now I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more interactive. I want you guys to close your eyes. I want you to take a really slow, deep breath. I want you to scan your body from head to toe. And I just want you to bring awareness to where do you feel tension? Where do you feel that tightness? Where do you feel that heaviness? Don't try and change anything. I just want you to notice. And sometimes you'll notice new areas of tension that you haven't before. And that's completely normal. Your body's always sending you signals. Learning to notice them is just the first step towards releasing them. And if you can, just make a mental note of where you feel that tension. Okay. So before we move on to how to release these emotions, I want to take a moment to explore the spiritual side of how our bodies store emotions. Across many spiritual traditions, it's believed that we have 7 major energy points. These are called chakras, and they're believed to be like wheels or spinning discs of energy. These points are thought to influence not just our physical health, but our emotional and our spiritual health as well. When emotions become stuck or unprocessed, they create blockages in these energy centers, and then they show up as physical symptoms, emotional challenges, and patterns in life that feel very repetitive. So I'll just walk you guys through this quickly. So the root chakra is responsible for our sense of safety, security, stability. So the shadow aspect that we feel here is fear, is instability, is scarcity. So how this might manifest on a physical level is that we get anxiety, panic attacks, right? We find it hard to feel calm. And then energetically, we might be inviting in some of those same things that keep that cycle repeating. So maybe we're always living in scarcity, we have money issues, that kind of thing. We have the sacral chakra, which is responsible for our sensual energy, sexual energy, creative energy, pleasure, and the shadow aspect here would be guilt and shame. Okay. Then we have the solar plexus chakra, which is shame. It's responsible for our self-esteem, confidence, but the shadow aspect there is shame. Then we have the heart chakra, which is responsible for empathy, kindness, compassion, love, forgiveness, and that is blocked by grief. Grief, loneliness, resentment. You have the throat chakra, which is responsible for our truth, our expression, voicing our needs, and that is blocked by dishonesty, silencing ourselves, not speaking up for our needs. We have the third eye chakra, which is responsible for our intuition. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Wisdom, awareness. Oh, I've done something. Okay. And then the crown chakra, which is responsible for our connection with our higher self or God. Okay. So on a mental and physical and spiritual bodies, they're all interconnected. So the blockages and imbalance in the emotional body can create physical symptoms, emotional challenges, and spiritual imbalance. So for example, if we lose a parent, we may experience feelings of sadness, grief, rejection. These emotions can show up physically as anxiety, panic attacks, tears. Energetically, they may kind of impact our ability to be loving, but also they impact the root chakra, which governs our safety and security. That's because the parent is usually the first pillar of safety and support that you experience. And imbalance could manifest here as financial struggles, as I mentioned, fear of instability, general unease. And because obviously grief and love is stored in the heart chakra is also affected. Obviously, it governs love, forgiveness, connection. So the pain of loss or heartbreak can lead us to self-sabotage in terms of difficulty opening up to love, both for ourselves and for others. So we might keep people away because it's easier to do that than to experience that pain again. So our emotions are really indicators, signals that something needs to be acknowledged and processed before it becomes stuck. And that's exactly where holistic healing practices like massage therapy, like EFT and inner child and shadow work come to work. They help us release that blocked energy, regulate our nervous system, and restore balance to both the body and the energy centers. So now that we've experienced where emotions live within the body and how they relate to our energy centers, it's really helpful to understand how they actually get stuck. Emotions aren't just visible, they leave a trace within our body, in our nervous system, and our behavior. When these emotions aren't fully processed, they show up in three main ways. Firstly, as muscle tension and pain. So, clenching your teeth, grinding your teeth, clenching your jaw, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain. Then you have nervous system dysregulation. So this is when stress becomes a normal for the body. It's its normal response. So you find you can't switch off. Maybe you get insomnia. You see people sometimes sitting there and they're like shaking their leg, like really restless energy. Then the third way is through conditioned patterns and triggers. So your body reacts before the mind. So this might be snapping when you're feeling angry or shutting down in conflict, going completely silent and withdrawing. That is a pattern that we already explored. When you've experienced that in the past, you're more likely to act in that way in the moment because you don't have time to process. It's just your immediate reaction. So understanding this really helps us meet the body with compassion and frustration, and sets the stage for practices to release and process these stuck emotions. So obviously, so far we've learned that emotions get stuck in the body through tension, nervous system dysregulation, and conditioned patterns. The way through is actually by giving the body safe pathways to release. So this can be done through movement, expression, so painting, writing, any form of creative expression, touch therapy, and awareness. So now I really want to break down how some of the healing modalities I actually use help the body process and release the emotions. So we'll start with massage therapy. So massage, obviously, people always associate it with sore muscles, and it's actually a really powerful way to support the body and the emotions. Our muscles store the tension from unprocessed feelings, and gentle, intentional, safe touch can help us release that stored stress. I like to think of it like this. When you were a baby and you were crying, you just wanted to be held, right? You'd want your mum to pick you up, and it's a way to self-soothe. So that's why touch therapy is really important. And we can do this on ourselves through things like the self-holding technique, which is like this, or of course you can go for massage therapy. And research shows that massage can lower cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and increase oxytocin, and really signals to the nervous system that it's safe now. So there's been lots of research on this, but Dr. Tiffany Field, a leading researcher in touch therapy, explains that massage therapy reduces the psychological markers of stress and enhances emotional well-being. So when your parasympathetic system, the rest and digest state, is activated, your body can finally relax, recover, and regulate. That's why you guys might find that you sleep better after a massage, because you've literally signaled to your body it's safe to rest now. So, whilst massage feels amazing, like I said, it's really the bridge between the emotional release, helping you feel calmer, lighter, and more embodied. Then there's also EFT. So, for those of you guys that don't really know what EFT is, it's emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. Think of it as like acupuncture, but without the needles. It's a technique where you use mindful language. So you tap on specific meridian points within the body that can calm the amygdala. And it's a really powerful way to kind of process emotions rather than just bypassing them. Yeah, it's when we do this, it's kind of signaling to the amygdala, the part of the brain that's responsible for threat detection. It helps us lower our cortisol levels and reduce stress. So it signals safety. At the same time, because we're tapping and we're speaking the truth of what we feel, it brings the body and the subconscious into alignment. Instead of avoiding or suppressing those emotions, you're able to move through them a lot more safely, yeah, and without overwhelm. Over time, EFT helps you shift those limiting beliefs. So from I'm not safe to I'm safe now, I can release this. It is literally one of my favorite tools to use when I had really bad anxiety. I did a lot of therapy, but there was nothing that gave me instant relief. So I'd be at like a 9, literally having a panic attack, doing this and returning to like a 5. So it gave me such immediate relief. So EFT is a really kind of practical, science-informed way to take the intensity out of those emotions so that your body can finally process them and your nervous system can reset. So next is inner child and shadow work. So this work goes a lot deeper. It really goes into the roots of why emotions keep looping in our body, why we keep having the same patterns of behavior. The inner child work really focuses on those early wounds, so things that we experienced as a younger self, where we didn't feel seen, heard, supported, protected, or loved even. And we really meet those parts of ourselves with compassion so that we can help our body stop reacting in those same old patterns and those same old ways. Shadow work is more about addressing the parts of yourself that you've suppressed. I find that a lot of women suppress their anger because anger is seen as an ugly trait. We're not allowed to be angry, are we? So this is when these parts of ourselves are denied, the body holds that tension. And integrating these aspects really allows the body to soften because it doesn't need to defend itself or hide those parts of itself anymore. So the outcome from that is that you stop reliving those same emotional triggers and your body doesn't have to shout anymore. Yeah. This is why someone might cry in a session, feel immediate sense of relief in their body, and notice the long-term changes in how they respond to stress in relationships long after. Okay. So you're probably wondering, these are a bit random, like how do they all mesh together? So massage, EFT, inner child, they're just like they cover the whole spectrum of healing. Massage regulates the body and the nervous system physically. EFT bridges the mind body, it calms the emotions in the moment. And then inner child and shadow work heals the root of those same patterns. Yeah. And it stops those same patterns from resurfacing. So this layered approach means that emotions don't get temporarily soothed, they're actually processed and integrated. So we're going to go on to something that's my favorite tools. We're going to try out some EFT now. We can go slow. The tapping points will be on the screen here. Hopefully you guys can all see that. So I also have sent a document in the chat, and hopefully you guys can all see. I'm going to send it again. Give me 1 second. Okay. So this has the script on there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the statement and I'll wait for you guys to respond back. So you don't have to put your cameras on, but I would like, if you can, put your mic on so I can hear you guys repeating so I know when to move on to the next point. Okay. So I'm going to start if everyone's ready. Okay. So we always start with the karate point here. This is where we set the intention. So let me just talk through the points first. So it's karate point, eyebrow, side of the eye, under the nose, the chin, the collarbone here, under the arm, and then the top of the head. Okay, so here we go. Even though I feel tension and emotions stuck in the body, I don't know if anyone's repeating. I think we repeat your mic. Thank you. So I know when to move on.
Even though
I feel tension and emotions stuck in the body,
I feel tensions and emotions stuck in the body,
I deeply and completely love,
I, d-
honor, and accept myself.
I deeply, completely honor and
Accept
accept
myself.
myself.
Amazing. Even though these emotions sometimes feel overwhelming,
Even though these emotions feel sometimes overwhelming
or impossible to release,
or impossible to release,
I choose to allow myself to feel and let go safely.
I choose to feel and let
And
go
let go
safely.
safely. Yeah, amazing. Okay. Even though I've carried these feelings for so long,
Even though I've carried these feelings for so long,
thank you, I'm open to softening, releasing, and trusting my body again.
I'm open to softening, releasing, and
Releasing
trusting
and
my body again.
again. Amazing. So the first round is we're going to be acknowledging the block. I notice this tension and heaviness in my body.
I notice this tension and
Tension
heaviness.
and heaviness in my body.
Amazing. I feel the stress and anxiety I've been holding.
I feel the stress and anxiety I've been holding.
Under the eye, I notice the tightness in my chest,
And
stomach, and
anxiety I've been holding.
jaw.
I noticed the tightness in my chest, stomach, and jaw.
Jaw. Amazing. Under the nose, part of me still carries fear and worry.
Me still carries
With
fear.
fear and worry.
Mhm. Chin, I see how anger, grief, or sadness has been stuck here.
I
I
see
How
how
anger,
anger
grief, and
is
sadness has been stuck here.
Mhm.
stuck here.
Collarbone, I acknowledge these patterns that keep me tense.
I
I acknowledge these
I
patterns
acknowledge
that keep
these
me
patterns that
tense.
keep me tense.
Great. Under the arm, I've carried these emotions for so long.
I've carried
I've
I've
carried these
carried these
emotions for so long.
emotions for so long.
Top of the head, I notice them now and allow myself to feel.
I
I
notice
notice
them
them
now
now
and allow myself to
and
feel.
allowed to feel.
Amazing. The second round, we're going to be releasing that old belief, okay? Eyebrow point. I release the tension my body has been holding.
I
I
release the
release the
tension my
tension
body
my
has been
body
holding.
has been holding.
Amazing. Side of the eye. I release fear and worry that no longer serves me.
I
I
release
release the
fear
worry
and worry
and
that no longer
no longer
serves me.
serves me.
Under the I, I let go of old anger, pain, or sadness.
I
I
let
let
go of
go of
old
old
anger,
anger, pain, and
pain, and
sadness.
sadness.
Mhm. Under the nose, I release the need to control or push away these feelings.
I release the
I release the
control to
control
push
and fear
away
to
these
let
feelings.
go of these.
Feelings, yeah. It's okay. Okay, and then chin point. I soften my chest, my shoulders, my jaw.
I soften my
Open my
chest, my
chest, my
shoulders, and
shoulders,
my jaw.
and my jaw.
Mhm. Collarbone. I allow my body to let go of what's stuck.
I allow my
I allow
body
my
to let
body to
go
let
of
go
what's
of
stuck.
what is stuck.
Mhm. Under the arm, I release old patterns that keep me tight or anxious.
I
I
release
release
all
old patterns that
patterns
keep
that
me
keep me
tight
tight
and
and
anxious.
anxious.
Mhm. Top of the head, I allow calm, flow, and safety to enter my body.
I
I
allow
allow
calm,
calm,
flow, and safety to enter my
flow,
body.
and steady to enter my body.
The third round now is for reclaiming that sense of calm and flow. So, eyebrow point, I allow myself to feel safe in my body.
I allow myself
Myself
To
to
feel
feel
safe in my
safe in
body.
my body.
Amazing. Side of the eye, I feel my tension softening and releasing.
I
I
feel
feel my
feel
tension
my
softening
tension
and
softening
releasing.
and releasing.
Under the eye, I'm open to energy flowing freely.
I'm
I'm
open to
open to
energy
energy
freely
flowing
flowing.
freely.
Under the nose, I'm learning to trust my body.
I'm
learning.
I'm
learning to trust
learning to
my
trust
body.
my body.
Chin, I allow peace and calm to replace these stuck emotions.
I allow
I
peace
allow
and
peace and
calm to
calm
replace these
to
stuck emotions.
chance.
Collarbone, I reclaim my natural ease and balance.
I
I
reclaim my
reclaim my
natural
natural
ease
ease
and
and
balance.
balance.
Under the arm, I give myself permission to release fully.
I
I give
give
myself
myself
permission to
permission
release
to
fully.
release fully.
Top of the head, I'm safe, I'm free, I'm grounded in body, mind, and spirit.
I'm safe,
I'm
I'm
safe,
free,
I am
I'm
free,
grounded in
I'm
mind, body, and
grounded
spirit.
Amazing. Take a deep breath.
in mind, body, and spirit.
Hey, notice any shifts in your body and your energy. I want you to kind of go back to when we did the body scan and just check back in with those places that you felt tension. How do they feel now?
A little bit looser.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good to hear. So this practice is something that you can go back to again. You guys will get an email with some exercises for you to do and this script in there, so you can just go back and do it as many times as you need to. I forgot to mention beforehand, but when you do it on your own, try and measure how tense you feel in your body from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being so tense that you're in so much pain, and 1 being you're okay. And then notice the difference after you do the process, and trust me, it works, guys. Okay, so now I just kind of wanted to share a testimonial from one of my clients, Sarah, because it really shows the kind of shifts that this work can create. So she said, when I first came to Talisha, I felt completely disconnected from my body. I was carrying years of stress, grief, and anxiety that showed up as constant tightness in my chest and tension in my shoulders. I tried other therapies before, but nothing seemed to reach the root. Working with her was different through massage, EFT, and the way she gently guided me to notice what my body was holding. I started to release emotions I didn't even realize were there. I remember leaving one session feeling lighter, calmer, and for the first time in years, safe in my own skin. What makes Talisha unique is how intuitive and compassionate she is. She doesn't just treat the surface, she really sees you and helps you connect the dots between your body, emotions, and past experiences. Her work gave me the tools I now use every day, and I feel more balanced, more resilient, and more myself than I ever thought possible. So, as you can see here, Sarah's story is just one of the many examples of what's possible when we release stuck emotions and reconnect with our bodies again. If you're ready to go deeper and really want to invest in your healing this season, I've actually created something for you guys, which is a autumn healing bundle. So we have two options depending on what feels right for you. The first is the Nourish bundle. This is massage only, and it's 3 60-minute full body massages plus 1 session free. And you can really break down that session into where you want to focus. Some women come in and they want longer on their back and legs, then they do their arms. So that hour is for you to decide how you would like to spend it. And if you want to go deeper, you can add on the optional EFT session to support release, emotional release on there too. The second option is the release bundle. This includes 2 60-minute full body massages plus a 45-minute release massage bundle. This is basically 45 minutes massage, and then you have an hour for chakra check-in, energy cleanse, intuitive guidance, and an optional card reading as well. And with this is included my energy clearing mist. So this is really the perfect combination for body relaxation with emotional, spiritual, and nervous system support in there. So the spaces are limited for that, and sessions can be used anytime over the next 3 months. So if you feel called to, you can just scan the barcode there. I just want to say thank you all for joining and for listening today. I hope this session gave you some powerful taste of what's possible when you start noticing your body, understanding your emotions, and even trying a little bit of EFT. The real transformation, of course, really takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes guidance. And that's the work I do with my clients, combining that emotional awareness and body-based healing, because healing isn't a one-size-fits all, and it's not just body-based. We've got to do the work on all levels. So, I'd love to help you guys and support you further. So if that is something you're interested in, you can scan the barcode there, if you would like to work with me. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. Look out for the email. It's got all of the exercises, some nervous system support in there for you, and the script for you guys to go back and do it again. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at _the_grateful_living.